He refuses to talk to any women at work. Now we're the problem for wanting a normal coworker. I'm not usually the kind of woman who says things out loud before she's absolutely sure she's right. I like to give people the benefit of the doubt, especially the people I love. But I've been carrying this around for so long it's starting to feel like it's part of me now, like I can't tell where the pain ends and I begin. My name is Claire. I'm 36. And I'm slowly realizing that I'm with a man who sees the world in a way that leaves no room for me. It didn't always feel this way. John used to light up when I walked into a room. That sounds cliché, I know, but he did. He'd tilt his head and smile like I'd surprised him, even if I was just coming in from brushing my teeth. I used to think that was love, that look. We used to talk about everything, spend entire evenings sprawled on the living room floor, limbs tangled, half-dressed, making each other laugh between slow kisses. It felt safe and sexy, like he saw me even when I wasn't sure how I saw myself. But lately, he barely looks up from his phone when I walk in. And when he does, it's like he's checking a box. Like, yep, still married. His kisses feel automatic now, brief, dry things that land somewhere on the cheekbone or half on my mouth, like he's already pulling away before they start. I asked him last week how work was going, and he shrugged. That's all. A shrug, not even a fine. And I noticed, not for the first time, that he never talks about the people at work. At first, I figured he was just being private. But it became clear, eventually he only talks about the men. When I brought it up gently one night, just as we were getting into bed, one of those moments that used to be tender, heavy with possibility, he stiffened. Rolled away. Said something like, "It's just easier that way. No drama. No misunderstandings. You wouldn't get it." I didn't say anything right away. I just lay there, staring at his back. The way his shoulders rose and fell so calmly. And I felt this twist in my stomach, like I'd just learned something about him that I didn't want to know. That he'd decided a whole category of human beings, half the planet, women like me, weren't worth talking to. Not even worth knowing. And that he thought I should be okay with that. I used to admire how steady he was. Now I wonder if he's just numb to everything, including me. I've tried to reach for him. I still do. I'll put a hand on his chest when I pass by, or curl up against him when we're watching something at night. Sometimes he lets me, but other times, it's like he startles, like he's forgotten I might want that. Want him. And when he wraps his arm around me, it feels more like obligation than want. The thing is, I don't want to be wanted out of habit. The moment I knew something had shifted, really knew, was on a Saturday afternoon. We were walking through a quiet part of town, holding hands, like we used to. I made a joke, something small, about how he always walks on the outside of the sidewalk like he's protecting me from invisible cars, and he didn't laugh. Didn't even smile. Just said, "Yeah, I guess." And I felt the chill crawl up my spine, even in the sun. I looked at our hands, at the way his thumb used to stroke the back of mine without even thinking, and realized it had been still the whole walk. Limp. Just another task. And I thought, God, I used to feel like home in his hands. Now, I just feel like someone he has to hold on to, so people think everything's okay. It was a Thursday when it all came to a head. We were in the kitchen, the sun starting to pour in sideways through the window like it always did in the late afternoon. I was chopping cilantro for the soup. I'd offered to make dinner because John had said he was wrecked after another long day. He's a firefighter. The kind people automatically admire. And they should, right? He runs toward the things the rest of us flee. Burning buildings, crumpled cars, gunshot wounds, overdoses. He sees the worst of people, the most terrifying moments of their lives, and somehow carries them home in his quiet hands. But that silence has become a wall between us. So I tried casually, still chopping. Did you ever get a chance to talk to Marisol about the budget stuff? You said she's the one who handles the supply orders, right? I glanced over my shoulder. He was standing by the fridge, drinking orange juice from the carton, shoulders tensing before he even answered. He exhaled through his nose, annoyed. Why do you always do that? Do what? Bring her up like I'm supposed to be interacting with her. I told you already, I keep it professional. I don't need more drama at work. She's your logistics lead, John. It's not drama, it's communication. You can't keep pretending women don't exist. He didn't answer right away. Just put the juice back and walked up behind me. Wrapped his arms around my waist. It should have been comforting, the way he pressed his chest against my back. His lips brushed the edge of my neck, gentle, practiced. But I froze. The knife hovered over the cutting board. Because this was how he always did it. Every time we touched now, it was like he thought affection would smooth everything over. Like if he kissed me or held me close enough, I'd forget we hadn't talked in days about anything that mattered. Like his body could do the heavy lifting for his heart. I'm trying to be here, he murmured. With you. I sighed softly. I know. But I need more than this, John. He didn't move. Just held me tighter, like he was afraid I might slip out of his arms if he let go. I could feel his frustration in the way his grip turned a little firmer. Like if he could just hold me hard enough, I'd stay. I don't understand what else you want, he said into my shoulder. I come home. I don't cheat. I'm here. I want to be seen. Not just touched. He stepped back then. And when I turned, I saw the familiar blankness in his face. Like a window closed from the inside. That look he gives when he's shutting down, when the emotions feel too big or too complicated to name. What does that even mean, Claire? He asked, but his voice was already distant. And I hated that I didn't have a perfect answer. That I couldn't diagram it out for him like a blueprint. I just knew that every time he reached for me with his hands instead of his words, I felt lonelier. We ate dinner mostly in silence. He did the dishes without asking, which I guess was something. But when we lay in bed later, he put a hand on my hip and kissed the back of my neck again, like he hadn't heard a word I'd said. And I just lay there, blinking into the dark, trying to convince myself it was enough. But the truth is, it felt like being touched through a pane of glass. Close, but untouchable. And the worst part? I think he thought he was doing everything right. It was a Saturday morning, the kind where the light drips through the blinds just slow enough to make everything feel a little softer than it is. I was standing in the hallway, towel-wrapped, damp-haired, picking at a crack in the paint on the doorframe. John was making coffee in the kitchen, humming under his breath some low, tuneless thing that made the walls feel too quiet. He came up behind me fast, playful, grinning, like we were still us. Morning, gorgeous, he said, smacking my ass like he used to when things were easy. I flinched. Not visibly. Not enough for him to see. But something inside me shrank. I gave him a small, clipped smile, more muscle memory than feeling. Hey. He slid his arms around my waist, pressing his body against my back. His chin settled on my shoulder, lips grazing the spot just below my ear, soft and slow like he thought he could still melt me with that move. You smell good, he murmured, voice low like we were flirting. I stared straight ahead, at the framed photo of us at the lake, him sunburned and grinning, me laughing with my whole face. I used to love that photo. Now it felt like something someone else had lived. His hands started to wander, trailing down toward the knot in my towel. John, I said, too fast. Don't. He froze. Just for a second. Then slowly pulled his hands back. Sorry. I know, I said quickly, like cutting off the rest would make it sting less. I know what you thought. He took a step back, sighing through his nose. You don't even like when I touch you anymore. That's not, I turned to face him. It's not that. Then what is it? I looked at him, really looked, and saw the frustration in his jaw, the helpless way his shoulders slumped, like he was just as lost as I was. But I couldn't tell him what I didn't fully understand myself. How I used to feel pulled to him, magnetized. How now every touch felt like an obligation I was failing to meet. How I wanted to want him. Instead, I just said, I don't know. His eyes searched mine for something, maybe softness, maybe forgiveness. I couldn't give either. He nodded like that was the end of the conversation and padded back into the kitchen. The sound of the coffee grinder kicked back on, too loud, too final. I stood there in my towel, skin still damp, and felt the silence wrap itself around me again like a second skin. I should have kissed him back. Or at least let him hold me. I should have wanted it. God, I used to need it. But now every time he reached for me, it felt like a test I was failing. Like my body had betrayed me, or worse, like my heart had gone missing somewhere in the spaces between us. And the worst part was that I still loved him. Or the memory of him. Or maybe just the idea of what we were supposed to be. I let out a long, tired breath and whispered to no one, "Why does everything have to turn into sex?" It happened on a Tuesday night, of all things. A regular dinner at home. Leftover pasta, a half-opened bottle of wine, a candle flickering too hard because the window was cracked just a bit. One of those evenings that should have felt cozy, ordinary. Safe. John had tried. I'll give him that. He'd gotten off his shift early, picked up a baguette from the overpriced bakery I liked, even remembered to grab the sheep's milk cheese I'd mentioned in passing weeks ago. I could tell he wanted to make it feel like we still knew how to be close. Like this dinner could rewind something. We were eating across from each other at the small kitchen table, knees almost touching. "I've been thinking," he said between bites, voice casual, "we should take a weekend trip. Just us. No distractions. Remember when we used to go to that cabin up north?" I nodded slowly. I did remember. That place used to feel like escape. Sex and snowstorms and inside jokes. Now the memory just made my chest ache. "Sure," I said, quiet. "Maybe?" He smiled, hopeful. "Maybe?" I looked up at him, really looked. At the way he was trying, like planning a weekend away would fix it all. Like all we needed was a fireplace and fewer clothes, and suddenly I'd want him the way I used to. Like I'd stop flinching when he touched me or analyzing every kiss like I was grading it for effort. "John," I said, setting my fork down, "do you even hear yourself?" His brows pulled in. "What?" This trip. The way you talk about it, like it's a checklist. Like if we just go somewhere far enough away, I'll magically stop feeling disconnected." He blinked. "I'm trying, Claire." "What do you want me to do? Just sit here and do nothing?" "No," I snapped, louder than I meant to. "I want you to see me. To talk to me. To stop pretending that you refusing to talk to any woman at work isn't deeply weird." His jaw tightened. "Oh my God. This again?" "Yes. Again. Because it matters. Because it's part of this bigger thing where you wall yourself off from the entire world and then act confused when I say I feel alone." "I'm not flirting with women at work, Claire," he said, voice rising. "I thought that's what you wanted, boundaries. Respect." I pushed my plate away, appetite gone, chest tightening. "That's not respect, John. That's avoidance. You've decided women are a problem instead of, I don't know, human beings. Including me." He went silent. The kind of silence that isn't surrender, it's retreat. His face went slack, blank. That firefighter calm. Like nothing could reach him if he just held still long enough. That's when I felt it start to rise in me, hot, fast, unstoppable. The tears blurred everything, and I didn't even try to stop them this time. "I feel like I'm living with a ghost," I said, choking on the words. "You touch me like you remember how, but not why. You plan things like they're penance, not connection. And I'm just tired." He stared at me, eyes wide but unreadable. I don't know what to say to that. "Yeah," I whispered, wiping my face. "That's the problem." I stood up, too shaky, too raw, and walked into the bedroom, shutting the door behind me. Not slamming it. Just closing off. And once I was alone, I sat on the edge of the bed and let the sobs come in heavy, private waves. I buried my face in the sweater I'd left there that morning. It still smelled like me, and for some reason that made it worse. I didn't know why I'd exploded like that. Or maybe I did. I'd been holding it in for too long, that tangle of resentment and longing, until it finally had nowhere else to go. And all I could think, as I sat there alone in the dark, shaking and ashamed, was, How did I become someone who cries over pasta? And worse, why do I feel guilty for wanting more than just being touched? Why does everything have to turn into sex? It's been 12 days since the pasta night. Not that I'm counting, except that I am. We still sleep in the same bed, but barely. I curl up on my side, clutching a pillow like it'll stop me from reaching for him in my sleep. He stays on his side, stiff-backed, breathing steady like someone trying too hard to stay still. We've become polite, surgical in our conversations. You used the last of the oat milk. Can you move your car? I need to get out early. There's leftovers if you want them. No jokes. No kisses. Not even the ghost of a hand on my lower back as he passes behind me in the hallway. But I still catch him watching me sometimes when he thinks I'm not looking. And there's something hollow in his eyes. Not angry. Just tired. Like he's grieving something he doesn't know how to name. I watch him too. The way he sits at the dining table in the morning, hands wrapped around his coffee like it's holding him up. He's not humming anymore. He hasn't shaved in days. His uniform still smells like smoke and metal, but when he walks through the door after a shift, he doesn't drop his bag and kiss me like he used to. He just walks straight to the sink, washes his hands like he's scrubbing off everything he's seen, and disappears into himself. I miss him. I miss how he used to come up behind me in the kitchen and wrap his arms around my waist like it was instinct. I miss our stupid debates about horror movies versus rom-coms. I even miss the way he always left the toothpaste cap half on, like he couldn't be bothered to finish the job. But mostly, I miss the way we used to laugh. I can't remember the last time I heard him laugh, not the polite chuckle he gives people in public, but the deep one, the real one that used to shake his chest and make his eyes crinkle. And the worst part? I think he misses me too. Last night, he left his phone face down on the counter, something small, but I noticed. It used to bug me when he was always checking it, always distracted. Now it sits there untouched, as if even distraction is too much effort. We passed each other in the hallway, and for a second, his hand brushed mine. Not on purpose. But the contact sent a jolt through me, warm and devastating. I wanted to say something, anything, but I couldn't find the words. He looked at me like he wanted to say something too. Then nodded just once and went to bed early. And now I'm sitting on the couch, lights dim, wine untouched, staring at the shadow of him through the cracked bedroom door. This isn't what I wanted. I didn't want to fight. I didn't want distance. I wanted connection. I wanted to feel like we were in the same life again, not just the same house. But I don't know how to get back to him without losing the part of myself I've been quietly rebuilding. The part that started to believe I deserve more than being touched when I don't feel known. Still, I know he's hurting, too. He's not the villain in this. He's the man I fell in love with, honest, steady, brave. And he's trying in his own way. I just don't know if his way includes me anymore. Or if I have the strength to meet him halfway when I feel so far gone. I stare down at my hands, at the ring I haven't taken off, even though I've thought about it. And I whisper into the silence, do I stay because I love him or because I'm afraid of what it means if I don't? The answer doesn't come. But morning always does. It happened on a quiet Sunday. The air outside was soft with rain, the kind that makes everything smell like earth and old leaves. I was folding laundry in the living room, mindlessly, shirts, socks, the t-shirt of his I used to steal to sleep in, now at the bottom of the basket. The TV was on but muted. Just background light and motion. Everything felt quiet enough to hear the smallest things inside me. John came in from the bedroom. He looked tired, like he hadn't been sleeping, like maybe I wasn't the only one tossing around with a full mind at night. He paused in the doorway, watched me for a long moment, and then, without saying anything, sat beside me on the couch. Close, but not touching. I didn't move. I miss you, he said softly. His voice cracked a little. And I don't know how to fix it. I swallowed. The socks in my lap blurred. I miss me too, I said. He blinked, confused. I mean, who I was with you. Who we were. He nodded slowly, eyes cast down. He picked at a loose thread on the blanket between us. I didn't know how to be what you needed, he said finally. I thought showing up physically was the same as showing up emotionally. I didn't see the difference until you pulled away. I looked at him. He wasn't defensive. He wasn't even trying to win me back. He just looked honest, open in a way I hadn't seen in months. I think part of me stopped trying because I felt like I was always guessing, I said. And I got tired of feeling guilty for not wanting sex when I didn't feel close. And then I hated myself for not wanting it. Like I was broken. You're not broken, he said, quickly. I know, I said. But I didn't feel known. And when you stopped talking to women at work, like we talked about, I know you thought that would make me feel safe. But it didn't. It just made me feel like you were hiding. He ran a hand through his hair, sighing. I didn't trust myself to not screw up. I thought avoiding everyone was easier than navigating anything. I nodded. I get that. I really do. But it's not easier. Not for either of us. The silence stretched between us, soft and strange. He turned to me, slowly, and reached out, just his hand, palm up, between us. I stared at it for a second, and then placed mine in his. No heat. No urgency. Just warmth. Familiar and fragile. He pulled me gently into him, and I leaned against his shoulder. He pressed a slow kiss to the top of my head, and I let myself close my eyes. Just for a moment. I don't know if this is enough, I whispered. I don't either, he said, honest as ever. But I'm still here. We sat like that for a long time. No promises. No plans. Just two people holding the quiet between them with both hands, hoping maybe it could mean something again. And for the first time in a while, I didn't feel like I needed to figure it all out that night. Just breathe. Just sit. Just feel his arm around me and the weight of everything we still hadn't said, but maybe still could. I used to think love was about proximity. Being in the same house. Sleeping in the same bed. Saying I love you over coffee and picking up groceries on the way home. But now I know love is about presence. Not just being there, but being with. Seeing someone clearly. Letting yourself be seen. Even when it's uncomfortable. Especially then. I spent months blaming him for the distance. For not knowing how to talk to me or touch me in a way that made me feel real. But what I've come to realize is, I wasn't reaching for him either. I was building walls while resenting him for not climbing over them. Desire, for me, isn't just about the body. It's about the space before the touch. The moments where someone asks, "How are you really?" and stays for the answer. Where intimacy isn't just physical, it's being safe enough to unravel. And choosing not to look away when the other person does too. Whether he stays or not, and I still don't fully know, we found something again. Not the fireworks, not the fantasy, but something quieter. Something real. A kind of seeing, a kind of stillness. I'm learning that it's okay to want more than sex. To want connection before hunger. To say, I need you to know me before you touch me. And maybe that's what this was all about. Not breaking, but waking up. If there's one thing I'd tell you, if you're listening, really listening, it's this. Love without emotional intimacy is just choreography. And eventually, even the best dancers forget the steps.